Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Francis, and my colleague, Luckily, our head of Purpose Capital from Social Ventures Hong Kong. It's about great honor to be invited. So thanks, Majority Trust, for inviting us to share with you today. So we founded since 2007. So I think this is a picture of Hong Kong, a very beautiful Hong Kong. So I think it's also why we are setting up this organization, trying to make a better place, a better city for us. One slide, please. So we're an impact purpose organizations, we call ourselves. So we try to pioneering impact ventures, cultivating movement of good, and orchestrating impact capital in the city since 2007. So at the very early stages, we set up a lot of social enterprises, so around several tens of them. But I think by just inventing new impact ventures or social enterprises, we think it's not enough to influence the wider city. So later on, we being advisory role and also incubating a lot of different platforms in different sectors, including business, philanthropists, and also nonprofit, and even public sectors. So I think that made us have a better view about how to change the root cause of the root causes. So along the journey, I think we also kickstart a new movement in the business sector called Business 2.0, try to bring them having more purpose-driven, profit and purpose should be going along the way. So these few years, we think that overall in the cities, I think even nonprofit or social enterprise is not doing a very good job in influencing in the public image. So we also set up an impact storytelling. So right now we develop ourselves to have a more multi-skills and trying to get different vehicles and skill sets to try to make impact a mainstream thing. So today we'd like to just a couple of points or learnings that we have in the journey in the last 15 years on Purpose Capital. Overall, I would say it's riding on the main theme of making impact horizons beyond monetary capital. So we see that just investing with the direct impact with X dollar of amount, I think of course it's already great. But I think how can we leverage our different skills, different perspectives, or different sectors to make it a bigger thing? So we always call it the exponential factor. I think it's very important to us as well. So first one I would say is the impact ventures as the catalyst for social movement. So here I would like to introduce a couple of cases that we have done. So by using that to illustrate what I'm going to talk about with the catalyst way. Green Monday, if you heard about this global movement right now, is starting with our organizations 10 years ago. So Green Monday is advocating people one day meat-free. Actually, no matter it's Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, it doesn't really matter. But I think all the more, I think we call it a baby step to go green. So not a lot of people are aware that actually plant-based diet, by just changing your options at the dining table, make a huge difference in climate change, make a huge difference in food crisis, and make a huge difference to your own health as well. So I think Green Monday is a good reminder at first, starting off as an advocacy and movement. But later on, we think that just advocating is not enough. Gradually, apart from Hong Kong, we go across the border, a lot of different countries joining the movement, schools, universities, and F&B sectors. But later on, we think that how to promote the plant-based options is very important. So we set up Green Common, which is now having a store at Singapore as well. So we also work with a lot of F&B. We invented our own fake meat, somewhat like the Beyond Meat. We are the distributors in Hong Kong, but at the same time, we invent our own fake pork, which is called Omni Pork in Hong Kong. In Singapore, we call it Omni Meat. So we're trying to replace one of the big consumptions of pork in Chinese community in Asia as well. So right now, even with Omni Pork, we work with a lot of mainstream F&B, including McDonald's Hong Kong. They have one Omni Luncheon Meat Breakfast. It's serving, I think, since last year. Is a hot product right now. But just choosing these options, consumer could also participate in the climate change movement and working together. So right now, with Green Monday, Green Common being our value chain, OmniPork being our product, holistically, we also get engaged with the F&B sectors, a lot of different advocacy around the world, we make it a movement. So what I'm trying to illustrate is at first it's just a social enterprises, it's an impact ventures, but later on, because we don't just see that the direct impact, how to grow ourselves to be a bigger thing is the only purpose. So we don't just serve the impact investors to be our only goal, but we see that how to kickstart a bigger movement, making everybody on board is also very important. So right now, I would say, apart from Omni Pork or Green Monday, there are a lot of different plant-based already arrived Hong Kong and Asia, try to promote this concept together. We always participate in a lot of discussions in the climate change or the plant-based diet. I think my co-founder David now become one of the global advocate on plant-based diet. I think it's a bigger thing than the monetary or the social enterprise impact that we can create. And on the right hand side, on the right hand top corner, I think it's a run our city. So at the same time, we promote running. I myself is a vegetarian and also a runner, so you see a lot of self-interest from myself. But I think by just promoting more people to run, we think the city will be healthier. So we organize large scale of event like a streetathon. While we can still organize event, it's almost more than 20,000 people every year will participate in that. So we are quite famous in making it fun. So it's not just about the PB, the personal best. I think it's about how to engage a running event in a fun way. So many people are in costumes running on that. But at the same time, we are training almost 20,000 youth to go on long distance run. 8 lessons, almost everyone can do 10 kilometers. So to the youngsters, secondary school student is a big thing for them. So although last year and this year we cannot organize a physical event in Hong Kong, but I think we also organize a virtual run. It's called Run to the Moon. So we aggregate the whole city. Last year, Taiwan also joining us. So maybe way forward we can get Singapore doing this together to aggregate a distance enough for us to go to the moon. So last year we got 2 moons actually for this distance. So I think how to promote a movement is bigger thing than the ventures itself. Also right now, by just waiting someone to quit their job to set up social enterprise, I think it's definitely not enough. So, but in Hong Kong or in Asia, a lot of younger generations would like to go for a startup route. So right now, we have a topic called Impact Valley. So with our Social Innovation Award that we organize more than 13 years, we try to get engaged with a lot of the startups, try to get startup go social. So successfully in the last few years, there are a lot more startups come to our way and see that how can we help them on the impact strategy. And we are working with the investors like CVC, Alibaba Entrepreneurship Fund, and Credit Suisse, these kind of organizations helping us together to promote this theme. So right now we are seeing that if we are successful, then immediately we can get more different stakeholders to participate in social innovations. So the second thing that I want to share is impact properties as the springboard for exit of poverty. So I think by just doing the direct impact with some supporting NGOs to solve the poverty alleviation projects, globally there are quite a lot of them. But I think in Hong Kong we run a few projects trying to use the venue as an impact engagement. But the aim for it is to create exit of poverty instead of just keep on giving them fishes. So on the left-hand side, we have a project called Light B. So we have a product called Light Home, and later on we work with the government to have like the Light Housing, which is a quarter that renovated and with 45 units. And right now, actually, the New World Group, a big property conglomerate, they are renting us a piece of land. So we're going to build up a core Light Village. But right now, we are managing more than 130 apartments in Hong Kong. It's an affordable rental model. So there are some landlord rent their house to us without charging market rent. We will rent that to some single mom with their young kids. But with the rebuilding the neighborhood, we get them have a better self-esteem and then finding a better job through that 3 years at most they could live there for. But right now, among that 400 families, over 1,000 people, average living time is 2 years. So it's proven that apart from just giving them a chance to have a lower rent quarter, is actually we do the empowerment quite successfully. So riding on this success, we have the second project on the right-hand corner is the Hatch, which we call it a co-working factory. 3 years ago, we set up factory again, try to do women empowerment. But at the same time, we try to promote micro-entrepreneurships, try to encourage more individuals getting their manufacturing doing in Hong Kong. On the one hand, empower the women, but at the same time, create more economics for the community as well. So that's successfully helping a lot of women finding their own self-esteem and also the new momentum. Apart from taking care of the kids, can they also go on to become an agent of change in the community? So also we have a project called Come On, which is a community clubhouse. So first place, second place, the third place is even they are living in a subdivided units, they could come out and become a clubhouse member, engage together. So with this kind of small group, small cell, actually we are quite successfully in helping them to tackle the pandemic situations in the last few months as well. So on the right-hand corner is actually we have a project called Community Making. It's trying to get the different stakeholders, non-profit, for-profit, or public sectors coming together to talk about some issues that they're trying to solve, and then making them is called community making. Try to get them to think about some long-term visions and work out together and get them collaborate. So one of the root cause of the root cause is living in sectors living in silo. So with these kind of things, we can, in the community level, get different stakeholders to work together. I think it's a good way for us to create exits of poverty. So the third thing I would like to introduce is the impact business, which we have spent in the last 5 or 6 years quite dedicatedly trying to get the business on board in social innovations. So we see that purpose is definitely the new profit. If we can work out that, then it is not just the traditional charity or there's some CSR effort. Shared value or marketing 3.0 is just the name. But I think overall, I think it's a rethinking why there is a business. I think business should have a purpose. So we have worked out a lot of different cases with Swire Group, Hong Kong Broadband Cathay Pacific, some of the local manufacturer, some property owners as well. But last year, we also launched together with Hong Kong Management Associations for a new project called Business with Purpose. It's somewhat like the Business Roundtable in the US. We try to get engaged with a group of business corporations, try to pledge and say that they will commit on purpose and share the experience with the other peoples as well. So that would be a continuous platform. We work with this organization, which is a quite prominent business associations. So if we are successful, we definitely think that business would be the next wave of impact. So the last things that we're going to share, well, I'll pass it on to Lahui. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. So hi, everyone. My name is Lahui, and I'm the head of Purpose Capital at SVHK. So today I'm going to share with you about Purpose Capital and what we think about it. So 15 years ago when we were founded, we actually had our own venture philanthropy fund. It's over $1 million, and we're still operating it today. But over this past decade, I think what has become very clear to us is that using our own money and investing our own money can only go so far in creating impact for a lot of the very deeply rooted social issues that Hong Kong has. So from our own experience of managing this fund, we have started to reach out to a lot more stakeholders in the past few years to influence them on how they can better use their capital, not just money, but as Francis mentioned, property or their business ties or any kind of resources that they have to create more impact. So these are some of the examples that we have been working with, and we hope that through these kind of collaborations and through our influence and sharing of experience, more and more people can input their capital into more helpful and impactful ways. So for example, we've been working with the Community Chess in Hong Kong. They have about 50 years of history, and they are now running this thing called a Social Innovation Fund, which is actually something that is very a huge breakthrough for them. So what we have been doing is that we've been sharing with them, what is innovation? How do you pick innovative projects? How do you incubate this project so that they can be different from what you have been doing before? And we see that has also have quite an impact on not just the way that they operate, but also the people working in the community chess, how they can change their mindsets as to what is impact and what they can do more. We have also been working with the Swire Trust and Cathay Pacific to streamline their CSR and CSV efforts so that they can create a more impactful strategic direction, especially because they have such a huge footprint in Hong Kong and they have also a lot of influence on the business sector. So if we can help them to find ways that they can create change through their very inherent businesses, then it will be something that's a lot more sustainable and not something that you do only when your business is doing well or when you have extra funding. We have also tried to work with other kinds of funders in order to help them to see what kind of change they can make. In 2020, we launched something called the Community Resilience Fund, which is our version of a bridge loan to social enterprises who were having cash flow problems during COVID. And this is a first of its kind of a fund in Hong Kong, because usually in Hong Kong, people normally go for grants, or if not, they will get equity investments. So this kind of a bridging loan was a demonstration that actually, our market is mature enough, and also there's the need for this kind of new kind of infrastructure, so that when we finish this fund and we do it well, we can actually influence other people to say that you can also have this kind of a new kind of vehicle, or maybe Hong Kong is ready for different kinds of vehicles in order to let social enterprises grow. We have also been working with much larger funders, let's say the Hong Kong Jockey Club and also Zaksin Foundation, with some of the programs that they are running. For example, with the Jockey Club, they have a program called JC Inner Power. So instead of influencing the way that they fund, we influence the way that they think about innovation. So for this one, we're working with them with a social worker fellowship program. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create very bottom-up change in the NGO sector, so that more social workers and their organizations can start to think about social innovation. We don't intend to stop in Hong Kong, which is why we're also actively playing a much larger role in the Asian Venture Philanthropy Network starting from this year. What we see is that Hong Kong is actually quite a unique place. We are very small, but we have a wide variety of social issues that require a lot of creativity in order to solve. So where we see is that Hong Kong can be quite an interesting place for you to try out your innovations at a very small scale, test them out, and see how they can scale up, and then hopefully be able to replicate them into a lot of other cities around Asia that also face very similar social problems. So with all that we have presented, it's been quite an eventful 15 years for SVHK in building social innovation. And we're also always looking forward into the future and what more can be done in order to innovate social change for Hong Kong's social problems. So in 2020, we launched our new vision called New Urban. This was driven by a lot of a huge recognition in Hong Kong that our social problems are very deep-seated and requires not just the social sector or the government, but everybody to join in order to create change. So what we saw was that we cannot just work on today's problems. We have to start thinking about tomorrow's issues and thinking back, counting back how we can start solving them from today. So from then on, instead of doing a lot of the work by ourselves, what we have been doing is we have been putting out very bold, somewhat you could say might be a bit far-fetched visions out there. But what we hope to do is to inspire people and help them to realize that every one of us can be a change maker in our own right, as long as we recognize, what kind of resources that we have, what kind of strengths that we have, and where our passion lies in social issues. And then we can utilize all of these tools well in order to create the change that we want to see for Hong Kong. In SVHK, we really believe in partnerships, which is why, throughout all our examples before, we have been mentioning a lot of different partners we have been working with. I think we're very grateful for all of them, because without them, we wouldn't be able to run a lot of the innovation ideas just with the small amount of resources that we have. At the end of the day, I think that I'm sure Francis will agree with me that a lot of our problems and a lot of our solutions are very people-based. And we hope that through all the work that we do, we can really improve human life in Hong Kong. And hopefully this will be an inspiration for more people to look into urban issues. And as our world becomes even more urbanized, we can live much better lives in cities and also learn to thrive and flourish.